So we're with Shannon Nering, and she is many things: a producer, director,
Senorita.
right? And now you have a web series called Certifiably Organic.
Yes.
Organic.
Certifiably Organic.
Yes.
Diaries of Nico Mom.
Right. So tell me a little bit about how you, like your career and how it led to this new web series.
Well, I've spent my whole life in television. I started off as a reporter, and then I managed to get to LA. It's a really long story, and was producing there. Yeah, and so anyway, a fairly successful career as a reality TV producer and documentary producer and writer and that kind of stuff. And then all along I've loved nutrition, and all along I have battled for Mother Earth. I've always, like, every petition that comes around I sign.
Do you take the pop can things parts? The ducks don't choke on them?
I don't buy those typically, so I don't end up having to deal with them, but if I see them, yes, I would rip them apart. But in fact, my husband and I met on a show, and
Which show?
It was called Bachelorettes in Alaska, and we were shooting in Alaska. We both lived in LA at the time. And he recognized me because I was giving somebody shit for leaving their plastic water bottle somewhere. And so he immediately loved that about me and recognized that I was all about, like, don't stop using those, and, you know, bring your own water bottle and that kind of stuff. And not just that, but it's so much bigger than that, and it goes to nutrition and being healthy and just in treating the earth the same way you would treat your body. And so I've always read about nutrition, and finally a couple of years ago I said, that's it, I'm taking my holistic nutrition course, I want to be licensed, and so I'm working on that, but I still need to keep my career going, I need to make money, and it's also, at the end of the day, I waver on this, but at the end of the day I do love what I do, and it just depends on the show, because there are some shows I've worked on and they've made me want to quit my career. And then there are some shows I've worked
what?
and then there are some shows that I've worked on that I'm like, this is why I do this.
Right.
I love this, and I love the people, and I love the anthropological side of it. Because we really are studying humans and how they work. Yeah, it's really interesting. But anyway, so I decided I wanted to combine my two things. So my craft, which is television, and then my passion, which is nutrition.
Three things, because being a mom too, right?
And yes, and parenting, you can't separate. Once you're a mom, you're a mom, and that's just who you are, and you better get damn comfortable with being called mom, because that's it, the rest of your life. So yeah, so that's what I did. And that's Certifiably Organic, Diaries of Nico Mom, and it's meant to be sort of a fun and funny look into that world. And of course we make stuff up, we make it a little satirical and ridiculous at times, just for the laughs and just to keep people watching, but there's always a really strong message.
I know even with what I'm doing right now, it's a lot of work to produce any kind of a show. And so how are you planning on getting funded along the way?
You know, it's all a new world to me. I'm figuring it out as I go.
Well, it's a new world for everybody, because television has completely changed, right? With the internet and stuff. Like,
oh my gosh.
There's so many YouTube stars and people out there that are, I mean, and for a while there, nobody was getting paid, and now they've kind of started figuring out how to...
A money model, and a lot of them are doing, like, you know, there's this vampire series, and it's great, it's for 20-year-old women, and it's sponsored by Kotex, because it's a vampire, it's a blood series. And so I just thought, what a brilliant combination of, you know, what a great way to get funded.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, where's my Kotex?
Maybe like Whole Foods.
Whole Foods would be fantastic.
Whole Foods, Mom?
Oh yeah, I would love it if they do something like that. Hello, Whole Foods.
Watching your story and reading your bio and everything, it's actually, I feel like I'm watching my life unfold, right? Because we started, you know, reporting and then going to LA and kind of being a fish out of water, small town girls.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, every time I was in LA, people were like, you're not from here, are you? But did you get some of your inspiration for your material for Certifiably Organic from some of the women that you met in LA?
I think I'm just inspired by the moms around me now. And I wasn't a mother very long in LA. We moved kind of shortly after because my neighbors scared the crap out of me. They're like, have you registered for preschool when I'm pregnant? I'm like, what's preschool? Is that kindergarten? What? I gotta register? How much? And that's when I was like, oh my God, Josh, we gotta move to Canada. But back to my home. But anyway, so I wasn't there long as a mother, but what I'm really inspired by, especially for the series, are the moms I know, and the stories, and the ridiculousness, and the hypocrisy, all of us, where it's like, oh, I won't eat that stuff. No, I don't like, you know, genetically modified beet sugar, and then it's like, what, you made those chocolate corn puffs? Give me some of those, you know? It's like, so I know I'm a hypocrite, and we all kind of are in different ways, and I'm inspired by the stories I see around me. There's so much funny stuff that goes down. I'm like, this needs to be told in a way that's kind of real, but yet poking fun and having fun. And you know, there's nothing like it on TV. All the shows I see on TV right now, like, they're so salacious. They're just trying so hard. They're trying to be over the top sexy. 50 Shades of Grey is leeching into everything. Every show about women, it's like some like 50 Shades of Grey is in there, and I'm like, why? You know, like, let's leave sex out of it.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what it's like to be a mom and friendships, and then how we deal with our children, and all the decisions we need to make, all the decisions that ultimately will make our children who they are.
Right.
We're making choices every day and shaping those little guys.
Well, seeing that is kind of funny too, because you worked for a lot of reality television. You worked for, Shannon worked for the Real Housewives of Vancouver, and you're talking about like salacious and things like that. Like in 1 week, I watched every episode of the Real Housewives.
Did you have to bleach your brain after?
I just was like,
just kidding, I love them all.
What bothered me about that kind of show is that, like, us as adults, we're always preaching about anti-bullying and things like that, and then we're all watching these shows of these grown women bullying each other, and it just is like, how are kids supposed to, you know, not do things if they're watching us do them?
I know, and that's a tough one, because I
How do you live with yourself?
Well, I've worked, obviously I've directed on the show, and I watch the show. I watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm like, that's my guilty pleasure, and I'm like, what draws me to this? And my husband's like, why do you want to watch that show? It's such trash.
Did you figure out why?
I kind of have, and I think it's because in our lives, we don't tell the moms or the women around us what we really think, because we make enemies.
Right.
We tell them the positive stuff, but we don't tell them when they piss us off. We just kind of keep it to ourselves.
Or passive aggressive.
Or people bring it out in different ways. But exactly, and so what I think satisfies me in these shows is that they do say what they think. I mean, it's damaging, and you see why we don't do that.
Right.
But in a way, there's something satisfying when someone who is mean or rude is told that they are mean or rude, and told not to do that. What's not satisfying is when a good person is bullied or you know, shamed for no good reason. You know, that's less satisfying, and that makes you mad. But then you get, typically on these shows, it comes right around. They stick up for themselves, they defend themselves, and it all comes around, and human nature plays out. And what's interesting for me is that human nature is generally good. And sometimes you'll see all the people sort of side with that bully, and you'll be like, what's wrong with people? And then eventually it just comes around, common sense sort of prevails.
Right.
And that's typical on most shows. You will see that. I mean,
well, like Jody, I mean, was she really like that, or were you guys telling her what to do?
That's what we film. No, we don't. What we do tell them is, like, this is boring. You need to speak your minds. You need to say what's, you know, like, come on, talk, girls. Yeah. You know, like, let's hear it, get it out. But no, we would never say, you know, give Mary a hard time about wearing a half shirt.
Right.
And tell her she's too old to wear that. We would never put those words in her mouth. That's her own, you know, that's her own opinion on what Mary looks like in a half shirt.
And so, what was that like the tension? Was there any kind of moments where it was really...
It's incredibly awkward. Where you're just kind of, as a director, I'm looking at monitors and I'm speaking into a radio to my cameramen. And so I'm protected by the monitors, and the cameramen are protected by a camera. So we all have our own little thing that we sort of hide behind when things get really awkward. But yeah, sometimes we have to go face it, or sometimes the women are really upset and come to us and break that fourth wall, and then we have to deal with it. And you know, at the end of the day, it's speak your truth, speak your truth. That's the message I'm always saying. If this is what you feel, say it.
Right.
Just speak your truth, and then we'll get into it more in an interview, and you can explain yourself and all that good stuff. And so eventually it comes out, but yeah, that doesn't mean that it's not always okay. It can be harmful at times.
So where's the line when it comes to bullying in these kind of shows, do you think?
Well, I didn't work on the second season, where I know that Mary was terribly bullied, and you know, if that's where one of the characters is going, Mary's an adult, she's signed up for this.
This kind of goes with the package, right?
It kind of goes with the package. As a result of that, Mary has a lot of fans. Mary has a huge following. She's loved.
Right.
And she's supported. And then, I don't know, karma, and I don't know, you know, I didn't study it. I don't know, like, you know, I know that it's wrong to berate somebody the way Mary was berated, but in the end, you know, Jody's got her own troubles now.
Yeah. What goes around comes around?
A little bit, but that's not for me to judge. And Jodie has some wonderful qualities as well. And I mean, I've never seen anyone who can cook the way she does. Holy crap! And she can be incredibly generous and all that kind of stuff. So I'd be curious to know what Jodie would say about her character. If that was all just like who she is completely. I don't know. People do bring their own things. I mean, I can't control what people bring to our shows. It's like, who are you showing up as? Are you showing up as a real person? Have you devised someone in your mind? Is this your evil twin? I don't know. Like, we're not that clever.
Right.
People think we're so clever. They're like, you guys make all that up, and you made her the villain, and you made her the target, and it's like, no, we're not that smart.
It's just nature playing.
It just plays out. You put a bunch of human beings in a room, and you make them keep meeting each other, and women.
Put a bunch of women in the room.
And men too. Men can be pretty catty too.
They seem like they deal with it better though, men. Men seem to be able to, have a fight, get it over with, and then it's over. Women hold on to things.
But have you watched Big Brother? Look at the way the men are incredibly catty. But yeah, they do tend to let things go a little easier. And you see that with boys. I have 2 boys, and they get into a fight with their friend, and they're like, so-and-so's mean, and I'm not his best friend anymore. And then the next day they're playing, and it's fine. But what I know from my friends who have girls is like 2 weeks later. And it's just, we have this thing that we do, we ruminate. Mm-hmm. And in some ways it's good and it's cathartic, but in some ways it just makes the problem deeper and bigger than it needs to be.
Like, how important do you think it is to have shows like, your web series and stuff, where it's a bunch of women kind of relating together and just having fun together?
Yeah, it's not meant to be catty. I think it's really important. And you're not seeing a lot of it on TV. Mm-hmm. And that's why there's a place for it, and it's on the web. And the question is, how do you clear through all the noise on the web and be noticed? And I don't have the answer to that. But I think if women did see the show or understood it, they'd be so into it. Yeah. Because it's not catty, but yet it is fun and funny, and it's
relatable, right?
Yeah, it's poking fun at all the troubles we have, but it's not mean. There's nothing mean about it.
And that's the thing is I'd like to get away from it with reality television or any kind of television, is just that like mean-spiritedness, like in a lot of things like American Idol and things like that. Like, I can't watch the beginning.
Well, that's why The Voice is so much more successful than American Idol. The Voice is positive. They don't berate people. They don't make fun of people. That doesn't happen. The Voice is all like lift them up, elevate them. And the level of talent is beyond.
Well, and then did you see on the what was it? The New Zealand X Factor with the judges that bullied that guy, they got fired on the spot, basically.
Oh wow, good.
So it seems like things are turning around. So maybe you're in a good timing for getting this web series out, because it seems like there's a big shift, because people are kind of sick of the trash TV and they want stuff with substance.
I mean, it'll always be there.
Yeah.
It'll always be there. But yeah, I think humanity in general probably craves something just a little more uplifting. Mm-hmm.
Now, you lived in LA and you worked for Dr. Phil. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
I worked on the Dr. Phil show, so that was interesting. It's a machine. That a show that big and that had the rollout that the Dr. Phil show had there's a lot of cogs and in the wheel, and it's very manufactured. Mm-hmm. What's not manufactured are the people. The people are all real. There are real problems and all that kind of stuff. But with real problems comes you need to be gentle with that, and you need to really kind of create solutions. And I don't feel a talk show is the place to do that. Ironically, that type of talk television is never something that I've ever been interested in to watch, generally speaking. And I never even watched Oprah very much, I'm sad to say. No offense to Oprah, obviously she's brilliant, but I find one thing, like, you're letting me talk a lot, and thank you, because people love to talk about themselves, but I find on those talk shows that they cut you off constantly. And I actually can't stand watching it, because I'm there to watch the guest. I'm not actually there to watch the interviewer. Right. And with all the cutting off that goes on, I'm like, let the person speak. And then it just becomes a very shallow view of whatever it is they do.
Because they have an agenda of what they want out of the interview. They don't just let it flow naturally, because they want to steer it. Like The View. The View, it's like, I could not watch that for 2 seconds, because it's like...
No, let these people talk. Let's get deeper into an issue. And then in the end, it's all just like, oh yeah, and buy my book or watch my show or whatever it is.
Watch your show.
But you should still watch my show and buy my book. But
she has a show and a book too.
Yes, that's really why I'm here. No, but but seriously, it's like really like it just feels like people are always just pushing stuff. It's like consume, 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 and it's like no, I actually want to get to know them better. I want to know how they think. I want to know their philosophy and what's my takeaway? Like what's going to make my life a little fuller from listening to you?
Some people have ideas and they just sit at home with these ideas. They never do anything. So, you know, even with what I'm trying to do is like my first shows aren't anything like the way it's in my brain, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to get something out there and start it, and then you can just work your way up from there, right?
You know, that is so key, and that's what I like. That's what I want to kind of tell everybody is that, like, you know, they're all like, believe it, and then you can do it, and I'm like, no. If you wait till you believe it, you'll never do it, because at least I won't. I don't believe it at all. I don't believe I'm capable of so many things, and then. But if I just start doing it, I just start hacking away and chipping away, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but just like get something out and get on that road.
What I compared it to is, you know, there's construction happening out here. You know, people drive by a construction zone and they see this foundation and they see some walls going up, and they can't see the finished product. Yeah. They just see the building of it, and that's how I feel like with a talk show or any kind of show. The beginning stages are like that. It's like a construction zone because you can see the finished product as an architect or whatever. Yeah. But you know, the people that are watching are like, what is happening here? Something's being built. Something's happening here. Yeah. Right. I fully agree. You just got to start doing it. And the problem for me is that I do it, and I actually I'm a good doer for sure. But then I launch something, and I'm like, oh, it's not that good. And then I'm disappointed, and then I pull way back, and that's when you have to keep true to your vision, and that's when the belief comes in. So right now, like if I quit now, that'll be a big mistake. Yeah. Because it took a lot of energy to launch, and that energy dies a bit. You know, keep it going, and so now I gotta like create that energy again, and that is the real challenge of believing in your vision, because it didn't take off after the pilot. It's not like this huge show. I'm not getting calls from Bravo to air my web series, you know, and so it's like, well, is it good? I don't know. And it's like, no. Now's the time to stick to my vision and stick to my guns and not be bored of it. Because I get bored. I'm like, I can move to the next thing. Oh, I know.
I can easily do that.
Same way. Well, if you see these successful people, they have the same story. It's yeah, you know, it was hard, or they took some really crappy jobs, and they did some silly roles if they're actors. And they just, you know, or people were doubting them. Oh, you can never do that. That's ridiculous. What are you doing? You should get a job. You should work up north. You should do this or that. And it's like they had to push through all of that. Just, you know, put their blinders on to all the negativity, criticism, and just follow their vision. Yeah. And if you just stay on that path, I mean, it's everything.
Well, it's so funny because you think, oh, I'm better than that. I'm not swayed by others' opinions. I know better. I know I can do this. And then I find myself like, she said it's not good for TV. She's probably right. And then I just find like you just get right into that jam, and you're like, how did that happen? What? That's not what I really think. It's like, no, I have to not listen to those people. Not listen to them. Just because they're an expert doesn't make them right. The critics aren't right. That's why they're critics. They're not making television, you know, and they're critiquing. So anyway.
And when you're blazing your own trail, it's something that's different. People don't really get it when it's something that's like kind of outside of the norm. So it takes a while for people to catch on. But I mean, look at anybody out there. Look at like Sonny and Cher. Things like just, you know, that's a crazy example, but it's true. Like I'm sure when people start things, people go, what is this? Until it's consistent, and then people get used to it. Yeah. And it becomes
Captain and Tennille. Yeah. This is throwback time. Sonny and Cher, Captain and Tennille. Like who else is there? Carol Burnett.
I love Carol Burnett. Well, even like
love her.
Even like those guys that are in Vegas. What are the guy that doesn't talk, and then the tall guy?
Oh, Penn and Teller.
Like, how are they famous?
I know, right? Like when you look at these people, and of course you begin to see their brilliance, but at first you're kind of like, why them?
What is it? What are
Mindy Kaling, like she wrote that book. I haven't read it yet, but I can't wait to, and I love her show, and I love her humor.
I love everything.
She's always like, I am so hot. I got the best ass in New York, and you know, like I love her humor, But yeah, like she kind of started off like, why not me? You know, that's the question. Why not me?
Right. So speaking of that, with your web series, what is your finished product? What does that look like to you? What would you like to see in like 5-10 years with what you're doing?
Well, Bravo is going to air it on their network.
Oh,
no, just kidding. I would love for it to be made into a TV series, keeping true to its mission of you know, being funny and entertaining, of course, but also like a message, and with a whole web portal, health web portal, to support the information and also keep it feminine light and all the stuff that will keep people's attention, because that's the trick. I mean, we don't have a lot of time, and we don't have, and we have so much to choose from, and so that's my goal, because as of yet, I don't know a way to make it as big on the web as instantly getting on television could do for it.
Your web series. So did you ever, don't tell me to wrap it up, you wrap it up.
Ooh, Kitty likes to scratch.
Okay, so did you ever consider, what's old is new again, right? So we were talking about how things like reality and all that stuff, but people are looking for like that real like substance and content, right? Did you ever consider doing like an access show with Shaw or anything like that, where you?
No. Why would Shaw? Would you like my show?
Shaw? Anybody can do an access show at Shaw.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I would. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I should know that. I did Generation X talks when I was at SAIT. You'll have to see that. And we won a bunch of awards, actually. It was a talk show. Obviously, I'm part of Generation X. And yeah, we just hit all the hot issues. And I had a little stage, and they actually let me go live. So I went live on the University of Calgary campus, and live at the Mount Royal College campus, and SAIT campus, and it was really cool.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I know. I guess I should. Why don't you help me, and then I'll do it.
Yes.
It's a time thing, right?
Exactly. Well, once you get on on Shaw, then you have that backing, or any kind of network. You have that backing with the network, so you can get more people on your show, and you can get the funding, you can get sponsorship. I just solved her life, so you're welcome.
You're welcome. I thank you.
You're welcome.
No, you're welcome. No, I'm welcome.
You're welcome. I'm welcome. We're all welcome.
Okay.
Is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
No, you're good. You let me spew for a long time.
You can spew all over me anytime you want.
And then we're gonna just like vomiting all over your lap. Sorry about that.
So how can people find more about you and your web series?
ShannonNering.com and CertifiablyOrganicTV.com.
I want to be on your show.
You will be, as my younger sister.
Yes.
Because she kind of looks like my younger sister.
And we have the exact same life. SAIT graduate.
SAIT and University of Calgary, yeah.
We both lived in LA.
Both lived in LA.
Both small town girls.
Yeah, I mean Calgary, but originally Medicine Hat.
Still,
yeah.
in Canada.
It all began in Medicine Hat, which is such a great little city.
The only thing I can think of is Medicine Hat is when that girl murdered her whole family.
Fabulous. I wasn't there for that, I'm really glad to say. Speaking of salacious.
Witness protection program.
We're both terrific TV hosts.
Right, we're both blonde.
We're both blonde. I have this hairstyle for like ever, except my hair isn't as nice as yours.
We both need eyebrow pencils.
We both need eyebrow pencils, but not too dark, or we look like Frau Verbissina. Frau Farline.
We both have babies.
Mine are not babies anymore, 7 and 10.
But they look kind of similar.
They do look alike, and they're both so sweet. I mean, they're all 3. I have 2, so yeah, they're all, oh my god, babies. I can't wait till yours wakes up. That's why I'm starting to talk louder.
Wake up!
I need to see that baby before I go.
You gotta see the baby.
I gotta see the baby. I'll just go to squeeze his little cheeks.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank
you
so
for
much.
having me.
Thank you. I'll
You're
see
so
you on your
pretty.
show next. You're so pretty. This is actually not water.
Because your camera lady's gone.
She
quit. She quit. She hung up her headphones.
After she told us to wrap it up, she was like, I'm gonna wrap it up.
You guys are boring me.
Door slamming in the background.